professor Dean Willians, da Monash University, está aqui na Unicamp nos fazendo uma visita, com apoio da FAPESP. Está aqui 2 meses conosco, atuando junto ao nosso grupo de pesquisa, o CPCDOC. Está dando um curso comigo sobre documentário australiano e brasileiro, que se insere dentro desse projeto de pesquisa. E nós trouxemos ele aqui para conversar um pouco com ele, para que ele nos fale sobre o seu projeto de pesquisa e sobre as relações que nós estamos estabelecendo entre a Universidade de Monash, na Austrália, e a Unicamp. Okay, Dean, if you could tell us about your research project, your actual research project in documentary.
Oh, okay. I've been researching documentary for 25 years, I think, all through my postgraduate years. And I have a particular interest in Australian documentary. And even more specific than that, I'm mostly interested in the period after the Second World War, so from 1945 through to about 1970. I've done a bunch of projects in this research topic. I wrote a book on Australian documentary of the post-war years, and focused on 4 filmmakers from that period. John Heyer, Maslin Williams, Cecil Holmes, and the Realist Film Unit, a communist filmmaking unit in Australia. And at the moment, to go to the other end of the scale, with some colleagues, we have a large grant to research what we're calling utilitarian filmmaking in Australia. So educational, scientific, instructional films, the very unfashionable films that are difficult to write about, but there are a lot of them made, so we need to do some research into them. And at the same time, we've just put in a big grant application to write the history of the Australian Centre for the Moving Image in Melbourne. It's a very cutting-edge digital media institution, but it has its beginnings in 1946 when they set up a state film centre. So I'm interested in seeing if we can track its history right back to its beginnings to understand how the present institution can be informed by that history. So there's a couple of projects there that have been that are ongoing. Yeah.
Nice. And could you tell us about your impression of Unicamp and our students and our course here?
Yes.
Say 2 words about your stay here with us.
Of course.
The last 2 months.
Of course, yes. It's been a wonderful 2 months. The project, this visit came about between you and I for now, and you did the hard work in putting in the application to FAPESP to fund the visit. But we thought that it would be a good combination of your research expertise and my research field. So I've been lucky to be able to teach in the second half of the documentary film course, and to give some talks at Unicamp, but also at University of Sao Paulo, and also down in Curitiba. But I guess I've been struck by how engaged I feel the students in particular are, the postgraduate students, but also the undergraduates that are in the course. I just find there's a kind of a vitality and a a deep interest amongst the students in coming up with their own research topics, but even the way that they talk about their PhD projects. They have very original, exciting, adventurous research topics that they really want to research. In my experience, quite often you come across PhD students in other places who are doing very ordinary, predictable work, but I've found that talking to the postgraduates here that they're doing exciting work that has really impressed me, and I find it really exciting, very impressive. Yeah.
And the South of West project.
Okay. Yes, we've had a couple of events in Australia. One was called a Southern Screens Symposium, which was held at Curtin University in Perth, and then last year we had a cinema at the end of the world.
Cinema at
the end of the world conference.
That's a good title.
I think so. And of course, I'm in Brazil at the still at the end of the world.
Yeah.
And we have set up a number of events. We also have a website in beginning called South of the West, about researching southern cinemas, and I guess it's something that I would be interested in pursuing with Unicamp, and perhaps in the future we could hold a conference or a symposium here. I think it would be really, really good, and it's something that could include South Africa and Chile, Australia, New Zealand, Argentina. I think it would be very good to explore issues of identity and culture in filmmaking across those regions. Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
Yes. Okay.
That's been a good interview. Thank you.
Okay.
Dean.
Thank you. Thanks for now.
So that's important to write about what's biography, autobiography in documentary. So that's and also the Cambridge tradition. That's I think it's a very important point. They have a good school of documentary there. The sense laboratory. You can speak of it. Maybe?
Yeah. Something that's been, I think, the most interesting phenomenon in documentary film, or one of it, that is taking place at Harvard is the sensory ethnography lab. It's led by a filmmaker called Lucien Casting Taylor, and he has made films which were very much talked about, which are the Vietnam. What else?
The sheeps,
Sweet Grass,
Sweet Grass, that's a good movie.
2018. They have this perspective of, it's a very catchy name, sensory ethnography lab, in which they try to somehow by tactile perspective of the camera and the closeness to its subject and sound design, and try to provide this immersion in an ethnographic context, but not quite with ethnographic background, such as information about people, about places, more a sensorial attempt. And that
can deal with the films that fit this spectrum. Thus, the research in its general objectives intended to contribute to the documentary filming and film sound studies, especially in its theoretical and historiographical intersection. The research internship abroad, and I'm going to start in August in Australia, at Monash University with Willians, is related to this PhD investigation, and it aims to deepen and expand central issues related to my thesis. The filmography whose I have been working during the PhD is often related to autobiographical documentary, film self-representation, essay film, international transcultural diasporic, extended films about and by political minorities, personal documentary, performance documentary, first-person documentary, and cinema. which has acquired recently an important space both in academic universe and at screens and film festivals in Brazil and abroad. In order to work up to this wide niche and get started with the PhD research, I drew up an initial list of films regarding the most representative ways of enunciation of the filmmaker self in the documentary narrative. In a panoramic analysis of filmography that fits this spectrum, it's notable, for example, that distrust and rejection of music and other sound elements based on an heterogeneous space-time in relation to the space-time of the visual take seem dilute compared with the direct style of the 60s. Voice-over and voice-off also acquire new dimensions.
How I came here. My name is Diane. I graduated in film studies, but my research was about the production of, was more about studying the production and the hierarchy that have when you are making a movie, and use the background about the history of Brazil and those kind of tensions when we are making a movie. And I wanted to study a commercial movie and a non-commercial movie, but the other example, a non-commercial, would be a kind of a movie without budget. So that's when I was searching some kind of movie to watch it. I remember the Brazilian Indians that makes movie like that. So I decided to change my research and follow my intuition, and I changed everything. So I'm starting over again, and I want to study about how Brazilian Indians are making movies. I am very curious about it, and that's how I am now. So I'm starting over again, and that's it, my research. I want to know more equipment, what kind of investments they are having, because there are not some kind of investment for their making. There are the Vítimas Alvideias project. I need to research more about it. But that's it. It's just the beginning. I hope next semester I'll have more things to say about it.
The other thing is that at the Australian Centre for the Moving Image in Melbourne, they have a mediatheque, so you can go in there and you order a whole bunch of films and you can sit down and watch them. So all the films that are in the archive, they're digitised. You can just book a day and you sit in a room and you can watch all the films. So to access whatever you want. Yeah, it's free as well. So it's perfect for this sort of project. Yeah.
Oh, I'm Sophia, and I'm the
Master.
and my reaching is in the beginning too, so my notes are really fast. So I'm reaching a Brazilian filmmaking group from Minas Gerais in Italia. There are 6 members in the group: Sérgio Borges, Pablo Lobatos, Leandro Borges, Larissa Campolina, Maria Rocha, and Elvésio Marins. The group was founded in 2002. They were known as an artistic collective, and then around 2009 they founded this classification and then began to classify themselves as an audiovisual group for research, creation, and production. So the dynamics of the work is different from a simple artistic collective. For 12 years, they made 11 long footage movies. I have a super long, colorful.
Oh, wow.
Very fantastic line time. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. The green is long. The orange is the medium. The pink is, I don't know, pick. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
3 moments.
Do you have this stuff on your wall? Yeah, you do? Yes.
You should make a.
Okay, it's 3 moments. Prayer, Duran, pause, So the aesthetic is in general is pretty different. They need camera format in the same video. For example, like Super 8 camera and digital camera. And this mix is style modern and old style in my at the same time sounds very quite hard in my opinion. So I would like to recommend the movie Aboyo by Netflix. Very well. This old style, modern style. So I am Diane.
Nice time, one. Okay.
So there's a lot of films,
Yeah, 11 long.
How many features they have? More or less. I mean, if you don't know exactly. 11.
Long, 1 million, 12 and 4 short, 3 installation, 1 CD of short video, and 1 book.
And is there much, has been much research done on this?
And now my research project of postdoctoral is all about the documentaries of Joaquim Pedro. It's all about 7 documentaries since 1959 to 1980. I'm gonna read it too. I'm gonna read the abstract from my research, my proposal research. This project research focuses on the analysis about Joaquim Pedro Andrade's documentary films. This research is based on the short film.
It's low.
Sorry. This research is based on the short film Comédia de Books, 1959, about sociologist writer Gilberto Freire. Next, in O Quadro do Castelo, 1992, about the poet Manuel Bandeira. The filmmaker affirms, as well as the following 6 documentary films, his inclination for a filmography geared to attempt to record the issues of his time. This work will be completed through the script never filmed of Cavalheiro Senzala e Companhia, 1986. Whose filmmaker's death, whose subject was again Freire, Gilberto Freire, the sociologist writer. His first film reason to finish his cycle of a work whose core is the Brazilian history and culture. In these characters, there are certain survey of national issues through a social-political perspective by the investigative director's look in with reflective filmography. In the affiliate of these films, with modernist ideals, will also to be investigated, seeking to resist Brazil within its context, and where was inserted. For this research also intends to examine the possible elaboration of Brazilian moderns aesthetic adopted by Joaquim Pedro de Andrade in his films as an evaluation tool of social factors to analyze the concept of Brazilian culture. In my other research, I was studying only about the Brazilian culture, the memory, and the literature with the cinema in his filmography. But now I want to do research more focused on the documentary and the look of
scientific initiation research is undergraduate level. My research is called Documentaries of Miscarriage of Justice, Serial Jinx and Making a Murder. And I initially was working with this tree together alongside with the Tingle Line and Morris film. But eventually me and Fernando cut it by half the set of films, and now I'm working just with Making a Murder and the Tingle Line. Making a Murder is part of this theme of the miscarriage of justice, which is a very common theme in US documentary, in mainstream documentary. And those serial two, The Jinx and Making a Murder, those initial three, was mainstream hits. It's huge, popular. Serial is a podcast documentary, it's just audio, and it's the podcast #1 in history of podcasting. So the podcast is more heard than any podcast in history of podcasting. And in the same year, HBO launches with The Jinx. It's a 6-part new series, and it's about miscarriage of justice too. And then Making a Murder in the end of 2015 Netflix launches Making a Murder, and they doesn't share the ratings audience, but on Twitter and on internet you can see that was a phenomenon of audience. And some say researchers that measures audience by
the public,
the
spectators.
public.
Yeah.
They say that it's the original Netflix series with more audience in history of Netflix, and it's documentary. And it's a 10-hour documentary.
Making a Murder is the first one in Netflix history, the most audience, the biggest audience.
Yes. They don't.
They don't share the numbers, but
it's a politics of the company.
Yeah.
But there are secular companies that are trying to defeat this, because television has official counting ratings. Yes. The Jinx 2 is $500,000 per episode. For a documentary is huge.
What's the Jinx on?
The Jinx is on Robert Durst.
It's on Netflix or
HBO?
It's on HBO.
Yes. It's on the streaming of HBO if you want to watch it. My interest in those documentaries is the relation that the documentary mediates between the viewer, the filmmaker, and the defendant, the character of the. And all these examples of documentary that I cited here, they have a very concrete aftermath on the defendant's life. The Tingle Line, after the Tingle Line launching, Randall Adams, main character of the film, was released from